Yesh lahosef oisvav, kind of stand alone a little bit. Very interesting thing that Rebbe says here, which I don't know if it says anywhere else. We'll find. I don't know, but quite incredible. We'll see. Yesh lahosef uladai b'lashon hamaymer. So, to be precise in the language of the Frierdiker Rebbe that he uses is as follows. Shebetchilas saying when he's talking about kosev, that the makif harochik, that the seichel that is sosum, even by the Rav, can only be given over in Meshalim and Chiddush. That's what he writes. Meshalim, parables, and Chiddush, riddles. But then, as he goes on to discuss the matter, he drops riddles and only invokes Meshalim, and not riddles. Now, this is significant because first of all, to preface to understand the great precision of the Maamarim of the Rabbi. The Alter Rebbe was very precise in his language, like we find in many places. The Tzemach Tzedek says this about the Alter Rebbe. Hatoyar, he uses the description l'shoinoi hazav, golden language, which means everything is precise, like gold is not wasted. The origin of that is the saying that Rashi wrote with golden ink, a golden quill. So everything in Rashi is precise. So the same idea with the Alter Rebbe. Avol, interestingly, in contrast, Admo Razokan, who is bina and expansive, he wasn't so particular in the precision of language.
Admo.
Huh? Sorry?
You said Admo. I think you said Admo Azokin.
Admo Emtsoi, the Mittel Rebbe was not makbid on the Kaloshin. Mittel Rebbe. Huh? In contrast, when Gila Tzemach Tzedek var Rabbi Mishal Acharav Leishamaiti, the Rebbe I didn't hear about the Tzemach Tzedek and the Rebbe's after him. And it appears there were different times by them, where sometimes the language was meduyik, and sometimes it flowed. The diuk was not on the language, but the inyan. Omno, here's the Meidike thing. Yodua, it's known. The Rebbe says it's known. Shechak admur marashab nishmaseid mechak marav chamayad mud hayimedaikim shitiyah kol teva al machayna. So they were precise that every word should be in its place. So the Rebbe Rashab and the Frierdiker Rebbe's Maamarim, we know beduig betachlis lav dafka the Rebbe before are in their language. Befad b'mayim b'shebot gam b'ksav b'tfus, and especially he's saying when they speak, it's beduig betachlis called teva al machayna, especially written and published. There's also, if it's going to be published, it's Tzemach Tzedek's famous saying, which they've quoted many times, that a davar shevetfus is nedoiros. If it's published, it's forever. It's meant for all future generations. Therefore, certainly this detail that we're pointing out now, that at the outset he mentions mishalim v'chidus, parables and riddles. And then he drops chidus and speaks only mishalim v'dik. That's precise, and the explanation is back to my chiluk mishalim v'chidus. Understand this by understanding the difference between the parable and a riddle. A moshel is something foreign to the idea. You're investing it in a moshel. Still, the point of the moshel is to illustrate and explain the idea. Whereas a riddle, you hide it. Like one of Shlomo's famous riddles, from food comes food, and from strength comes sweetness. Right? That's the beehive in the carcass of the lion, and so on. Which was a riddle that Shimshon, this is not the Shlomo, that Shimshon Shimshon made this riddle to confound the Plishtim. You know the story there. So here the riddle is not only something that's foreign, like every marshal is. Not even understood. How could from sweetness come from strength, and how can from that which is that which consumes comes food? From the consumer comes food. How could that be? We don't mean that we eat him, but he produces food. That's because of the beehive that was in the carcass of the honey in the lion, if I'm not mistaken. At any rate, so it's not understood. Is complete concealment, and that explains why he does not refer to it in the subsequent elaboration of his Maimer, because in the beginning, given because he wants there to speak about he wants to go all the way and tells us the reach, and where is it? Ad the gimel klippes hatmeis, even to klippe, and that's a chida, that's a riddle, that is the opposite of the idea. Where godliness is concealed, where is this concealed? Absolutely, where in klippe. Maybe in a like a riddle, which is confounding, and that's the point of it. It's opposite of logic. But then he doesn't mention that anymore because he's talking about Torah. But then he talks about Mishalim and not riddles, given Shem Meduber, Shem Gam, Oidis, he's talking about how the Eibishter gives over the Seichel, the Oid Atzmi, the Oitzer, where in the stories of Torah. I'm not talking Klipper here. This is not Klipper. This is Sipuri Maisish B'Torah, or B'Torah L'Ishayching in Achida. And in Torah there can't be the in of Chida, Shing in Hafke, that's the opposite. And that's the reason he drops the in of Chida. Ki Kol HaTorah Shmeistash Kol Baruch says in Medrash, the Gemara, Zoyar, sorry, that the entire Torah is Hashem's names, and therefore it's not Shaykh, the in of what? Of Chida. This Indian built it the same. Now, the very important nuance, that even when Torah does address Klipper, talks about Klipper, Parsha Seino, and now Parsha B'Shalach, Baal Tzefain, they encamped at the place of the worship of Pa'ir, Baal Tzefain, or Pare Hikriv, and Pare comes near to so on. We're talking about Klipper. However, the way it is in Torah, it's all kedushin. The sholish is very high, and they're actually names of God. And so this explains. Taka, Tzofan means hidden. That goes on the hidden dargas of what they call in Paris, Maloshan Priya, to tear back, right, and Mila to tear back. Ispirikon Lahirin, that all the lights are revealed. So everything the sholish, the mile is all shmoisav shel Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, by Torah, there cannot be inyan of achida, which is the opposite. That's when he only talks about mashalim. In fact, Torah is called the primal mashal of the Eibush, the mashal dafka. It's not helem. It's explaining. It's like explaining in a dover zone, something foreign, but its point is levayir. Whereas a chida, he says, it does the opposite, and that's why at the outset, when he talks about the Eid Sof producing even Klippe, he talks about Chida. But he talks about the Eitze being revealed in the Sipuri Maish, he talks about Mishalim and not Mechid. Is that clear? Yes? Yeah. Okay. Zion. Concluding the Maimel. Messiah, and it concludes. Shing the Eidin Sof, Lamar Ladin Cats, that Eidin Sof, Lamar Ladin Cats, which is Sosan Be'etzem. The marshal for that is a union of bias, that's a Seichel, that's even Sosum within the mind of the Rav. Shekoil Etzem Ha'oir, and the whole diak of the Maimer is to explain of this Maimer here that we're learning now, B'Shalach. Tafshin Chavav to explain why the Oitzer is not the Ma'ir and not the Inyan of what Yechelis, but Dafka Oir. What's the answer, somebody? This is the thrust of this Maimer. What's the Nakuda? Why does the Fikdeber take pains, as it were, to explain that the Eitzer is not the reach, but even the Darga itself, it's two Dargas, it's Inyan Shal Oyer, and it's not Yechelis and not Moir, as the Rebbe explained in the Maamer of Shvat, and he was elaborating the Maamer of Vayolech. Why Oyer and not Yechelis and not Moir? Because this is the point of this Maamer, no? Didn't Chazal, didn't... Okay, so what are we going to do about this? Huh? Anybody? You're all on the same page. You just came down, you're on the same page as the Chavod. I'll start to say, and you're going to remember. Because if it's the darg of Moed and Yechelis, which is relative etzim, then what's the problem? It's fantastic. Let's go higher. What's the problem? It doesn't validate Mitzias. Doesn't validate us. Everything's brought up in Mitzias. Everything's equal in B'Shaveh. There's no validation to our Melchama, to our Mitzias. What Melchama when Melchama? Ein Cheshach is equal. Ein Yidei Be'eze an Yechafetz. When by same Shal Tzadikim, by same Shal Rishoyim, it's all equal. It's all equally insignificant. So what do we have from this? Nothing. Adarabah, Hama wants to exploit that level, right? That's the whole Purim. He wants to exploit that level. Everything is equally insignificant. Let Mordechai hang. Makes no difference. That's why Dafka says that no, that the Oiter is a darga of Oir, where already the Kavana and the Rotzen has been articulated. Oir means otherness. You are the otherness. That's the Oiter. And in your struggle, that's what he wants. And you should be victorious. And it's in Milchama, and you should be victorious. It has to be Oir. If it's not Oir, then the bull bottle of Mitzias. And nothing makes a difference. We pointed out the nuance that higher than Oir and Moir, I hope you remember this discussion, is Atzmos and their taken this Ave. But that's completely latent and not expressed. Because since he wants a Dira B'Tachtonim, he wants an alien. And then there should be a darg of Eli where nothing makes a difference. And then the Ratzon emerges. I mean, the Atzmos, the only reason there's an alien is because he wants the Tachten. But that's completely behelim. Maamer doesn't touch that. I'm just saying it because, hey, the whole thing is this Avakodesh Baruch Hu starts in Atzmos. Everything starts in Atzmos. How could it not? And in Atzmos already, he wants this and not that. In Achanami. But that's completely submerged, submused in Atzmos, not bis galus at all. The first is galus, is union of Yechelis and Moir, where nothing makes a difference. And then there comes the Oir, a manifestation of a particular Rotzen. Or, as we said, where otherness starts to have validity. And it's that we need. That's the Oitzer we need. That's the point of this Maamer. This is Vayolech Havai. That's what he's explaining. And that, if you relearn the Maamer, friends, you'll chazr it. I hope, God willing, you'll do that. The second paragraph of Ois Hey is really zeroing in on that Lehoyer. That even in Mesholim, there's dargas. Because if it would be pure etzem, there's not. If it's pure etzem built in Mizgali, you don't need all different Mesholim. This is the point I'm telling you now. I hope you can read it back. If it's etzem, you don't need. It comes behelim and gaman. So how come there's shleishes alaf and Mesholim? 3, it's a different Mesholim and cholu. Because it's not etzem. It's inyan atzmi, but it's oir. It's the oitze, but it's oir. And therefore there's different dargas. And different Mesholim for it. Which means that the oitzer is tailored to each one of us, not just a blanket oitzer. Here, use it. Exploit, squandering. It's particularly tailored to each one of our Mulchama. That's a different Mesholim, a different Sipurim. It talks to us differently. It's unique weaponry. Different soldiers with different positions have different weapon. You don't have the same guns, the same ammunition. Ammunition you need is not what I need. Hence, different mishalim and different sipurim. Why? The whole nakuda is, it's oir, not the pure etzem mamish in which everything is bottled by mitzias. Therefore, there's no milchama, there's no difference, nothing. Be clear now. And also, why different mishalim? That was the whole lahoyer. Because he started to say, look back at the lahoyer. He says, fourth line of the paragraph. If you're talking about something which is concealed, what's going to help many mishalim? What's the answer to that? It's not etzem mamish. It's still in shaloyer, and therefore is a bit mishalim. Etzem built in this gala, then finished. It's built in this gala. You don't have to have more layers on it. It's not this gala, period. But this is not. This is a oir atzmi. In other words, it's the mile of etzem, but it's oir, which means it validates us and it's tailored to and is invested in our world and our personal struggle. This is the point of this maimon. Yeah, we're somewhat clear now, gentlemen. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue. So the Rebbe finishes. Messiah by Maimah, so the Maimah concludes. Perek Yud Zayin. It's the next chapter that he wraps up what he's saying here, as it were, concludes in Perek Tes Vav, which is what we're learning. Tes Zayin, I'm sorry. So Messiah by Maimah, so he's linking us to next year. She'inyan leirin sov lamad in ket shekel etzem ha'oir. See? Etzem ha'oir, right? Those two words right there. It's not the etzem mamish. Von der etzem mamish hat man gar nicht. Mir ist gar nicht. So etzem ha'oir, oh, it is galus, you want something, there's a me. Now you're talking to our world. So it's etzem, but it's the etzem, it's oil, but etzem oil. So when it can't be revealed as is. It's given to us, but behelem, misalim or miskalim batzmusa, it's all one with him. This level, which is the best of both, it's oil and etzem. The Eibishter is giving himself to us. So if you're giving yourself, there is no us. No, you're giving yourself to us. If it's you, mamish, there's no bottle of mitzias. No, etzem ha'oir. He's giving himself, and he's acknowledging there is an us, and it's us that he's giving. And the end, the oitzer is the Melech himself, Mashav Chai V'Neged. That's the ultimate. That's the oitzer. The Hashem, just like that the treasure was something no one ever saw and cannot see and still cannot see. It's Megala Atzmus. So Atzmus fundamentally is beyond all description, cannot be taken. So it's Sosem V'Nelam. And that's what he gives over. That's etzem ha'oir. That's what he's giving and nimshach. And that's the point. Remember, different mishalim, different stories, because it's tailored to each one of us. Well, you see, some different stories stir different people. This story touches this one, this story, this one. The Eibishter erzählt a Meisele, a story mamish to you. And this one is another story. That's the oitzer. And since the revelation of this oitzer is only for the final victory to be victorious over the opponent. Harimuven shekol ze nimshach lemata mata din tachlis. It goes all the way down. Total victory. No isnagdus, no opposition. Gilu l'likus lamata. Mata means in my life, your life. Where the Yitzhara is, where the Menagid is. That's where the Yitzhara is given to. Just sadach lilchem negda, it's a milchama, and that's we got to beat him, defeat him, transform him. There's a pearlim shegam lamata mata din tachlis. So this pearls that the mata in the mata din tachlis, in the mata, the lowest possible level is gala b'chines shalamayla madin ketz, is revealed the highest essential level. Shazer klolis agili the dosid love, and when's it going to be culminate when Mashiach will come? But teyameha chaim zochu, those who taste of it have merited life. Right? This is out of Shabbos. We tasted the foods of Shabbos. Shabbos is a foretaste of Yemais Mashiach. Because Yemais Mashiach is described as Shabbos. It was not just, he just finished saying it's going to be revealed then. He concludes, no. In some measure, this is drawn and revealed at the end of Golos. The Oitzer and the Melech, Mashlich Chayev Mineged, the king, casting his very life down. It's interesting, the Lashon I never thought about really. Mashlich Chayev, don't know if explained anyway. Mashlich Chayev Mineged, he casts his life Mineged, like from before him. Mineged means opposition. That's it. He's Moishe Nefesh, finished with. So it means, it means, literally means, with complete, no consideration to anything. It's complete abandon. Kenev Mesidas Nefesh, that's also, with a shtickle cheshbon, consider, we'll go there, there's a cheshbon. Mashach HaMneged means is throwing everything. With on cheshbon, there's mamish, that's the simple meaning. Kas, throws his life. Mineged from before him. Mineged before whom? Mineged from in front of him. For everything that is precious and dear, it's all. Think about that. The Lashon, it's clearly what he's saying, the whole Inyan over here. So, at any rate, this is revealed now, the end of Golos, is Galus Pnimius HaTorah. What's the Oitzer? The Oitzer is, first of all, the revelation of Pnimius HaTorah, B'Teres Achsidus, U'B'Teres Achronim. Not Uber, B'Teres Achronim. In the teachings of Chassidus in the last generations, each Rebbe is revealing the Oitzer more and more. Kedisa B'Zoyar, like it says in Zoyar, this is on the Zoyar and Pashas Noach, the 6th century of the 6th millennium, will be opened the gates of the supernal wisdom, and the well springs of the lower wisdom. That, right, we're familiar with the Zohar, that's when Chassidus was revealed, and science exploded, came from the wells of the deep, the wells of the great deep. And the simon is Noach's life. It says in the Pasuk, in the 600th year of his life, the wells of the great deep opened up, and the windows of heaven opened, and the water came from both directions. That's the Gili of Chassidus and the Gili of scientific knowledge, and it's all a preparation for Mashiach's coming. Particularly as we talk about quantum physics, Mama is the last discovery before Mashiach. It's all beautiful, but it's only a taste. Hagili of the revelation of godliness of Mashiach will come. The main gili of this treasure of Lamadin and Ketz, and the great descent, or as we explained, it's in the Eretz of Gufa, the mata, the Koyach HaGvul. So here, the true revelation of that will be when Mashiach will come. Commissioner Kosev, as the pasuk says, "V'hoya avay lemelech al kol eretz." Hashem will be king So what's the diuk? Havaya echad or shmoy echad? What's havaya? What's shmoy? It seems to be Perek Yud Zayin. The next chapter is going to address this of Basi Legani. That these two in Yonim of Havaya and his name that shekoil al giloi v'yispashtus ha'oil. That's a shmoy echad. Okay, we'll have to see. Havaya is the etzem, and shmoy is the giloi, the revelation, the ispashtus ha'oil. It'll all be one. Seems to be alluding to that's the two in Yonim of the Maila, Mata, and they'll all fuse and become one. Everything in oneness with Hashem in a revealed and tangible way, Lamata. Okay, friends, you do have, because you have on the, first we have it here in front of you, but also you all have the kunta, so we can look at the Teichana in Yonim. So Chaim, you say we should continue the next Maimer. Okay. Let's look at the Teichana in Yonim. We got a few minutes left. It's right there, the guy's in front of you, yeah? Where is it? My safe is different. Okay. What am I looking? Yeah, we got to look here. Chavav. Chavav, Memvav, Chavav. Vayolech Havaya. Yeah, Tavshei Chavav. I will just translate, not read the Hebrew. Yes, just the English, so we'll just finish the summary. So the statement of the Zoya that Oirin Sof Lamardin and Ketz Matitachlis is not referring to Yechelis, as understood by the Fidik Rebbe and the Maimer, that these two in Yonim are two dargis in the Oir and a big difference between them. Whereas in Yechelis there is no distinction. And the reason he stresses that it's not Yechelis, it's not Moir, not Etzem, but rather two dargis in the Oir, not Yechelis, is because why? Because he wants to explain that this is given over to the soldier in order to be victorious. And Yechelis, these things are not shaykh. Everything is bottled mitzias. Clear? The reason that Maim explained, the two in Yonim are Makiv HaKorev, Makiv HaRochek. So l'chayre, even Makiv HaRochek is post-Tzimtzum. Especially in the marshal of the Rav. There's a Rav and there's a Talmud. And yet, Oirin Sof, the Oitzer is Lifnei HaTzimtzum. So how do we reconcile this? It's a contradiction. The answer is, because in the earlier chapters he explained how it's taken nimshach and seder shtalshalus. And therefore first he addresses the way it is drawn into seder shtalshalus, and that's the marshal of the Rav and the Talmud. But then he explains the way it is in Oirin Sof Lifnei Tzimtzum, and that's also the Rav and Talmud where he thinks about the Seichel, and the Talmud's not even there. As we explained at length in the previous year, or 2 shiurim ago. Now, even though it's Makiv HaRochek, it's in Atzmi, still it comes in various levushim, and there's Ischalkos, 3,000 lemushalim. Why again? Because it's oil and it's tailored to each soldier. Why does he talk about Mesholim and Chidus and then drops Chidus, drops riddles? Because in the beginning he's talking about, because a Chiddur riddle is the opposite. That's not Megala. It's meant to confound the listener. It's not moving up your seichel. It's a riddle. It's illogical. Because that's a marshal for klippa. So he starts off with that way, that the Oirin Sof produces klippa. But then he wears it. In Torah, there's no klippa. Even when Torah deals with klippa, it's all kedusha. Therefore, he uses marshal and not chida. Right, that was the previous point that we said. Yeah. Okay, so tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem, hey, hang on. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm out of town, but we'll still continue learning on Zoom. I'm leaving tomorrow midday, but we'll still learn on Zoom. Okay, Chaim, so what's the next Maimer? Let's get it.
Mishpatim.
Huh?
Mishpatim.
Which one?
Mishpatim, Parsha Shkolim, Mevorchim.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
We like to be current, we like to be up to date, the daily news.
And the one after that is Tetzav, and the one after that is Purim. So we can.
How long is the Purim Maimer? This is also. Then you have no Zacher, Parsha Zacher, Gimel Adar. And then Purim Tavshin Chavav. So long, okay, so it should be good. Then come Pashas Potter. Okay. So tomorrow, new Maamre Be'ezrat Hashem. Yeah? Everybody have a wonderful day.